Donald Trump and Kamala Harris met for the first time on the presidential debate stage. Crypto was involved in 87% of all investment fraud in 2023. Telegram changes FAQ language on illegal content moderation after Durov's arrest. Tether invests $100 million in agriculture firm as stablecoin competition grows. FTX wants to pay $14 million to Emergent for claims to $600 million in Robinhood shares. This and more. Let's go with the 25th episode of Kanga Crypto News. Before we begin, remember that all information for Kanga Crypto News is gathered by experienced Kanga analysts based on reliable sources. Also, keep in mind that this is not an investment advice. Kanga Crypto News episodes are released every week on Friday. If you want to stay up to date with the most important information from the crypto world, subscribe to this channel. Be sure to click the bell so you don't miss the important news. First, a general look at the market. The Fear and Greed Index increased slightly compared to last week. Usually, when everyone says there will be increases, there are decreases, and when everyone says there will be decreases, there are increases. Despite such great fear, I see that investors' opinions are divided. Some believe that even deeper declines await us, reaching less than $50,000, while others expect imminent increases. What is your opinion? Please leave your comments. Alright, let's get to the main part of the news. I will start with the Trump-Harris debate because this topic has a very large impact on the crypto market. Donald Trump and Kamala Harris met for the first time on the presidential debate stage in Philadelphia on Tuesday night. They may have shaken hands, but they did not hit it off. In a fiery 90 minutes, Harris frequently rattled the former president with personal attacks that threw him off message and raised the temperature of this highly anticipated contest. Her pointed digs on the size of his rally crowds, his conduct during the Capitol riot, and on the officials who served in his administration, who have since become outspoken critics of his campaign, repeatedly left Trump on the back foot. The pattern for much of this debate was Harris goading her Republican rival into making extended defenses of his past conduct and comments. He gladly obliged, raising his voice at times and shaking his head. Americans should go to a Trump rally, Harris said during an early question about immigration, because they were illuminating. Quote, "People start leaving the rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom," end quote, she said. That barb clearly rattled the former president, as he then spent most of his answer on a topic that should have been, his main area of strength, defending his rally sizes and belittling hers. Trump went from there to an extended riff on a debunked report that Haitian immigrants in the town of Springfield, Ohio, were abducting and eating their neighbors' pets. If debates are won and lost on which candidate best takes advantage of issues where they are strong and defends or deflects on areas of weakness, Tuesday night titled in favor of the vice president. A Snap CNN poll of voters watching said that Harris performed better, and betting markets said the same. This is a snapshot that could be momentary, but the Harris tactic of putting Trump on the defensive was clear early in the evening when the topics covered were the economy and abortion. The next news is about investment fraud. The statistics are striking. Investment fraud in the United States hit an all-time high in 2023, with losses skyrocketing to $4.57 billion, with cryptocurrency-related scams emerging as the primary driver. According to the US Federal Bureau of Investigation's latest annual report, crypto was involved in a record 87% of all losses and totaled $3.96 billion. That represents a dramatic increase from $3.3 billion in 2022 and a staggering 18 times increase from $253 million lost in 2018, according to the FBI. The law enforcement agency compiles data from reports submitted to its Internet Crime Complaint Center, often abbreviated as IC3. The new report reveals that the number of investment fraud victims in 2023 was 11 times higher than 5 years ago, with complaints rising from almost 3,700 in 2018 to almost 40,000 last year. The average loss per victim reached 115,000, up from 68,000 in 2018. Millennials were the most frequently targeted age group for investment fraud, followed closely by Gen X. About two-thirds of investment fraud victims were between 30 and 50 years old, while 13% were in their 20s or younger and 22% were 60 and older. But already this year, the FBI has flagged that North Korean hackers appear to be targeting Bitcoin ETF issuers in the US. The agency said last week that the would-be hackers are employing difficult-to-detect social engineering campaigns against those working in the crypto sector, including those in the decentralized finance and ETF space. The 2023 report also put the spotlight on a particularly deceptive form of crypto fraud commonly referred to as pig butchering. In these scams, fraudsters establish fake romantic relationships with targets, usually through online dating platforms or social media. Once they've won their target's trust, the scammer convinces them to invest in fraudulent cryptocurrency schemes. Crypto scams are particularly appealing to fraudsters because transfers are irreversible, payments are not protected by the government, and there is no central authority or bank to flag suspicious activity, the FBI wrote in its report. The geographic distribution of investment fraud varies across the United States. California residents suffered the highest collective losses at $984 million in 2023, while Maryland had the highest rate of investment fraud at 14.4 victims per 100,000 residents. Kanga's mission is to prevent fraud. This is one of the reasons why Kanga University was created, where you can learn how to secure your cryptocurrencies and avoid losing them. The link to the course is in the description of this video. In the wake of Telegram CEO Pavel Durov's arrest for allegedly failing to moderate illegal content, the company has updated its FAQ on content moderation. The change removed the statement asserting that private chats were not monitored. Now, Telegram highlights the use of its report feature to flag illegal content for moderators. Durov acknowledged challenges due to Telegram's rapid growth and vowed to enhance content moderation efforts to address criminal misuse of the platform. The updated language answering the question reporting illegal content now highlights Telegram's report button, which lets users flag illegal content for our moderators. French authorities arrested Durov, a Russian-born French citizen, on August 24th at an airport outside of Paris. He was later indicted for allegedly allowing the spread of child sexual abuse content, drug trafficking, fraud and terrorism on the Telegram platform, and was accused of failing to cooperate with law enforcement. Do companies invest in cryptocurrencies? The answer is obvious. It would be better to ask how many companies and how much money. Here's one of the examples. Japanese investment firm Metaplanet is continuing to buy Bitcoin for its corporate treasury, snapping up an additional $2 million worth of Bitcoin. Metaplanet reveals its latest Bitcoin buy in September 10th, noting that it had purchased 38.464 Bitcoin at an average purchase price of $54,000 during Bitcoin's recent price dip. Thankful for this price action, have some capital to deploy, Metaplanet's director of Bitcoin strategy Dylan Leclerc tweeted on September 8th, as Bitcoin's price sank to lows under 54,000. Per the filing, the purchase brings Metaplanet's total Bitcoin holdings to almost 400,000 Bitcoins. At Bitcoin's current price, the firm's Bitcoin holdings are worth about $23 million per data from CoinGecko. Some non-crypto companies invest in crypto, but it also happens the other way around. let's take a look at a certain huge crypto project known to every crypto investor. Tether, the issuer of the world's largest stablecoin, has invested $100 million to acquire a 9.8% stake in Latin American agricultural giant Adecoagro. This is Tether's first investment in the agriculture and food sector. Previously, Tether had made strategic investments in emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence and peer-to-peer platforms, Bitcoin mining operations, and digital education initiatives, the company said in a filing. Tether said in its filing that it used cash from its own working capital for the Adecoagro investment. Tether now owns over 10 million shares of Adecoagro, representing 9.8% of the outstanding common shares. Founded in 2002, Adecoagro is a major milk producer in Argentina with 550,000 liters per day of processing capacity at its Buenos Aires plant in Argentina, according to its website. The company entered sugar, ethanol, and energy businesses in Brazil in 2005. Tether's USDT is the largest stablecoin, boasting a market capitalization of over $118 billion according to data from CoinMarketCap. Tether recently announced plans to introduce a new stablecoin pegged to the United Arab Emirates dirham. The new stablecoin will be launched in partnership with UAE-based Phoenix Group and Green Acorn Investments. This collaboration aims to create a digital version of the dirham currency, which is fully backed by liquid UAE-based reserves. However, competition has been intensifying in the stablecoin market with the introduction of new players like PayPal's US dollar-pegged stablecoin, PayPal USD, which has already surpassed $1 billion in total market capitalization. Ripple Labs has also announced the first tests of its United States dollar-pegged stablecoin on the XRP Ledger and Ethereum mainnets. It plans to launch the fiat-backed token on more blockchain networks in the future. On August 26th, the market capitalization for stablecoins, excluding algorithmic ones, hit a record $168 billion. The market hit an all-time high of $167 billion in March 2022, but fell to $135 billion by the end of that year. Is investing in cryptocurrencies stable and safe? Of course not. We, cryptocurrency investors, know this. However, with the emergence of Bitcoin and ETH ETFs, new players joined the market accustomed to the volatility of this market. That's why the SEC reminds us of this. The US Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, has issued a bulletin warning about the risks of Bitcoin and Ether exchange-traded funds, ETFs, highlighting their speculative nature. The regulator urged investors to consider potential issues like price volatility, fraud, and lack of regulatory oversight. The US Securities and Exchange Commission's Office of Investor Education and Advocacy issued a bulletin on Monday, urging investors to consider the risks associated with Bitcoin and Ether exchange-traded products, ETP, including exchange-traded funds. The SEC noted, investors should understand that Bitcoin and Ether are highly speculative instruments. This includes when exposure is gained through an ETP. Investors should consider the volatility of the price of Bitcoin and Ether. The securities regulator explained that Bitcoin and Ether are digital assets transferred through blockchain technology and their value fluctuates significantly. Two types of ETPs provide exposure to these assets: Bitcoin and Ether future ETPs, which hold future contracts, and spot ETPs, which directly hold the assets. The SEC warned that spot Bitcoin and Ether ETPs are subject to risks such as price volatility and potential fraud in unregulated markets. The securities watchdog emphasized that spot Bitcoin and Ether ETPs are not registered as investment companies under the Investment Company Act of 1940. Therefore, they lack protections related to asset custody and valuation that apply to ETFs and mutual funds. Bankrupt crypto exchange FTX has filed a motion to pay $14 million to fund Emergent Fidelity Technologies, an Antigua-based investment firm co-founded by Sam Bankman-Fried. for its claims of Robinhood shares worth over $600 million. Pursuant to the settlement, Emergent and the joint liquidators have agreed to assign to the FTX debtors all of the rights, if any, with respect to the Robinhood proceeds and seized cash held by the US Department of Justice, and otherwise cooperate to facilitate the release to the FTX debtors of the Robinhood proceeds and seized cash, said CEO John Ray. FTX called the settlement agreement another valuable piece of the puzzle in implementing its recognition plan to maximize creditors' repayment value. The court hearing on this motion is expected to be held on October 22nd. Emergent initially purchased the Robinhood shares in May 2022, after FTX and sister trading firm Alameda Research collapsed in November 2022. Multiple parties, including FTX, Bankman-Fried, and BlockFi, asserted claims to the shares. The US Department of Justice seized the $600 million in shares and cash and liquidated the Robinhood shares in September. Robinhood then repurchased the shares for around $606 million. Last month, a US judge approved a $20.7 billion settlement between FTX, Alameda, and the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. In it, the CFTC agreed it would receive nothing as long as FTX related to its reorganization plan. Bankman-Fried was found guilty in November 2023 of 7 criminal counts, including 2 counts each of wire fraud and conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and was sentenced to nearly 25 years in prison. The US Securities and Exchange Commission has also charged Bankman-Fried with fraud. Finally, an interesting fact. A recent report by Gemini, Global State of Crypto 2024, highlights the gender gap in cryptocurrency ownership. Men make up 69% of crypto holders, while women account for 31%. A drop from the 2022 figures where 42% of holders were female. Despite this, women tend to hold their assets longer than men. The report also shows stable US crypto ownership, boosted by Bitcoin ETFs, while other countries like Singapore saw a decrease in holders. I encourage you to read this report. You will find the link in the description below. It should be of particular interest to those interested in the crypto investor profile. This was the 25th episode of Kanga Crypto News. Did you like it? Please give us a comment. More is coming soon. Remember to give us a sub and a thumbs up. Take care and see you in the next episode. Thank you and goodbye.
We are Kanga, beyond crypto.